The main goal of a perfect sequel is to build on the foundations of what came before. Today we'll be seeing if X2 X-Men United is able to achieve that. I'm Tommy Bowyer from Movie Rewind, and without further ado, let's get into it. So X2 X-Men United was released in 2003, it was directed by Bryan Singer and is a follow-up to the 2000 X-Men film. And in my opinion, it is one of the strongest installments of the X-Men franchise. I think it builds on the foundations of the first film really well as improves on some of the things which I felt limited the first film. Today I'm going to talk about a number of aspects to why I think this film is really strong and why it's one of my favourite X-Men films. So this film really develops characters which I felt were pretty weak in the original film. Wolverine gets a great deal of development in this film, and I think this is when in this film we see the Wolverine we all know and love. You really feel for his character as he's trying to piece together the fragments of his former life and trying to understand what his past was and who he was before he lost his memory. And I think that's done really well here. As I said, you really feel for Wolverine as a character and you hope he can find and get his memory back. Storm gets a lot more screen time in this film, which means she gets a lot more development. I think Halle Berry relishes the opportunity to develop Storm as a character, and I think it pays off. However, a couple of characters still don't get appropriate levels of development. Cyclops is still very underdeveloped. He's pretty much written out of about a third of this film, and his character suffers as a result. I don't really feel anything for him. It could have been a great opportunity to develop his character. However, I just don't think they do that enough. Professor X, Magneto, Rogue, they all get good levels of development, and you understand why all of these mutants think as they do and what kind of sides they take on this whole argument. Plus, the main villain of the film, William Stryker, is really well developed. You really understand why he thinks the way he does and why he thinks mutants should be wiped out. Honestly, all the characters are very well developed in this film. I'd give character development a 9 out of 10 because they're all pretty strong. It's just a couple of ones, such as Cyclops, which let it down for me. The performances are once again very strong. Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, they all give really great performances and they're perfectly suited for their roles. As I previously stated, Halle Berry had more to work with in this film, so I think her performance improved as a result because Storm had a lot more to do compared to the first X-Men film. New additions to the cast, Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler is fantastic. You really feel for his character and a great addition to the main cast. Brian Cox as William Stryker, amazing. A fantastic villain, really understands the character's motives very well. You understand why he acts as he does. I wish that they hadn't killed him off at the conclusion of this film because I really think he could have appeared in other films. However, he did really well in this film and he served a purpose. So a great villain and a very memorable one. Honestly, the performances in this film, much like the first one, are really strong. I think because the cast have more to work with in this film, I think it improves a couple of the actors' performances who I felt were not exactly very strong in the first film. So overall, I'm going to give the performances a 10 out of 10 because all of the actors are well cast for their roles and they give good performances. One feature of this film which really improved from the first film are the effects. I think that the effects in X2 really hold up pretty well. I can't really fault any of them, to be honest. Watching it a couple of days ago, they really hold up. So really well done on the effects, a lot better than the first film. If I had to pick out effects which I would say, you need to see these to just highlight how good the effects are, it's the opening scene when Nightcrawler attacks the White House and tries to assassinate the president. The effects used there are fantastic. That's an amazing scene, one of the best in the X-Men franchise, a very memorable scene. So the effects are going to get a 10 out of 10 because they still hold up really well, and a couple of them are standout moments in the film. The story and writing really feels like a natural follow-up to the first film. Instead of mutants fighting mutants, you have the mutants uniting to fight a common human enemy. It just seems like a natural direction for the film franchise to go. Of course, you have the X-Men and Magneto's band of mutants teaming up to take on Stryker, who wants to wipe out all of mutant kind because he believes that they are a disease and that they should be wiped out. Honestly, That's a fantastic plot because you feel the stakes, especially in the film's conclusion when Stryker's using Professor X to try and kill all of mutant kind. Very tense scenes and some great action scenes down in the base on Alkali Lake. Honestly, the film's writing is really strong. There are still aspects of the discrimination thing when Wolverine and some of the X-Men go to Iceman's home. You can see how some of the conversations there are highlighting how a lot of people have discrimination, and just because someone is different, they're often excluded from the majority of society. So the discrimination element of the X-Men film is used, although it's not as used as much as the first film, which I don't think it needs to be. This film is about the X-Men and other mutants teaming up to take down Stryker. It's handled really, really well. Very strong story. It passes very, very quick. You can sit down and watch this film and it flies by, and that's a good thing because it shows you're invested in the film. So I would give the story and writing a 10 out of 10 because honestly, I can't fault it. It holds together really well and tells a good story. So for this film's special recognition, I've got to talk about the action scenes because these are things which really improve from the first film. When talking about the first film, I said that a lot of the action scenes I felt were a little bit bland and boring. They didn't really stand out. That cannot be said for X2 because all of these action scenes hold up. From the opening Nightcrawler fight in the White House to Wolverine versus Lady Deathstrike at the conclusion of the film. Fantastic action scenes which stand out, in my opinion, out of comic book films throughout all I've seen. These action scenes really hold up well. And I think that's because they're a lot more intense. Very well choreographed fight scenes. And because you're invested in the story of the film, you're invested a lot more in these action scenes because you want the X-Men to win. You don't want them to fail. If I had to pick out a standout one, it would be the fight between Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike. I think that's an amazing fight scene. It's really well done. And it's just an amazing scene, let's be honest. So in terms of the action scenes in this film, that is my special recognition. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because they really did improve the action scenes in X2. It's like someone walked into the room and said, you know what, let's times it by 10 for the sequel in terms of action. And it paid off. Oh my God, it really, really did pay off. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope that you enjoyed my X2 movie review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And I'm still releasing X-Men reviews every other week. So in 2 weeks time, I'll be releasing my review of X-Men The Last Stand. Probably one of the more controversial films in the X-Men franchise. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And I will see you in another one. See ya.